Hello. Hello. Just waiting for some people to get in. Thanks for the hearts. Keep on sending them. Can you hear me well? Yeah? Just waiting for Carol too. So, if you want to share, if you want to talk about this live, that's the moment. Do it so, screenshot it, and just send it around, spread the word. Well, I have my notes here, right? And I will keep on looking at them. So we're going to talk about transitions in the career today. So some things that we have experienced throughout our career, our years as teachers. I don't know, is it the low? I don't know. Can you hear me well? Please let me know, because if it's the microphone, I can just take it off. Can you hear me well? Please let me know. Yeah, it's gonna be in English, Bia. Well, you can hear me? Okay. Calling Carol here. Hello.
Hello. Look at you. Look at us. We got makeup on and all.
Friday night, right? We had to do something.
As you just posted, it's so strange. Putting on some makeup and staying at home.
Yes, it is. But
and I was like,
you froze. I guess you froze. I don't know if it was me or you.
well.
Okay, I can see you now. You're beautiful.
Woke up like this.
Okay, flawless.
Oh my God! So I can hear you well.
You can hear me well? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. So as I was saying, we're going to talk today about transitions in the career.
Okay.
Our own experiences. Yes, I guess it's going to be something a little bit informal, just a chat.
Yes.
But I hope we can help you guys with some insights and ideas. I don't know.
Yes, I think one of the most amazing things is this new round, these new connections that have been made during lockdown. I've been talking to people I had never talked before, and there's lots of new connections happening. So it's really great. Yeah.
We are kind of getting a little bit creative, trying to, I don't know, create new stuff.
We are.
Yeah, like for example, just dance online and this kind of
reaching out to people we don't usually talk to.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. So introduce yourself for people here who don't know you.
Okay, so hello everybody, thanks for being there. My name is Carol Romano. I have a degree in English teaching and literature. I studied at UFMG. And for a decade, I taught at schools here in Belo Horizonte. I'm from Belo Horizonte. And 10 years ago, I transitioned. I started teaching private classes, working as a freelance teacher. And well, basically that's it. And well, last year I started a project. I started a project in teacher education. It's called Teachers for Teachers here in Belo Horizonte. And so there has been some changes along the path. So I can say I started, like most of us, teaching at language institutes. Then I moved to teaching private classes. And now I'm working quite a bit on training and teacher education.
Hey, amazing. But I'm biased.
Come on. Aren't we all? Yeah. This is an amazing community, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So yeah.
So for those ones who doesn't know me, I am Renata. I don't like the American English pronunciation of my name, so Renata it is.
Yeah, that's your name.
Yeah, like Renata. It's
Renata.
kind of weird. But okay. I've been teaching for about 12 years now, and 4 of them are online, mostly. I also have some face-to-face students. I used to. But it's been 4 years online. And, well, what else? I teach mostly adults and teenagers. I have also started working on some training sessions. It's something a little bit new to me, but I am completely in love with that. And I have this page here, English Set, where I post some tips for teachers and students and so on and so forth.
And I think when we connected straight away, it was through Instagram, right? Hey, I don't know why. I just ended up liking yourself. I loved your profile picture. And then I was like, this is such a gorgeous ginger. I'm going to follow her. And then I was liking your post. I didn't know that at the time. It doesn't make any difference. And then you were following. And then you were liking my post.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So let's be friends.
I remember we used to talk. We used to talk for quite a long, right? We had a great connection since the very beginning.
Yeah, we don't like talking, do we?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, so I usually have some questions here, and I usually start with them, but then we get off topic, and that's fine. That's the idea of life. Just
so for anyone who's watching us, help us keep track. Okay.
Yes.
You're going off track. Remember to answer to this question, because
Yeah. By the way, you can make any comments if you want, whatever you want. It's fine.
Yes.
You're very welcome. Okay. So what were the biggest changes you've noticed when you started being a private teacher? Yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about this first transition you went through.
Okay. The moment I started teaching private, I had already been teaching at schools for about 8 years. So I think the first what triggered this transition was that I started to get lots of text messages and phone calls of people looking for a private teacher. But I was terrified. Because I used to teach at this school I really liked. But as time went by, I realized I needed more freedom. I needed to control my own schedule. And then when these possibilities started to come up, a friend who was the secretary at the school, she said, Carol, have you ever tried teaching online? I'm talking about 2010, okay? Hey, I'm talking about 2010, so it was quite a bit ago. So, and then
I had been teaching for 2 years back then.
See, I've been in the planet for longer than you. You know that already.
Yeah, I know.
So, and then I was like, no, I'm terrified. Why would I do that? And then she said, you don't have to quit schools. You can just, have a go at private teaching and see how it goes. And that's what I did. My first year as a freelance teacher, I wasn't 100% freelance. So I taught part-time at a school here in Belo Horizonte. And then I started teaching my private students at their homes or company. I never really had a place. I would always go to my students at the time. So it wasn't quite of a blunt transition. So I had the chance to try a bit. I was still teaching at schools. And then after a year, I just gave up schools and then went full on teaching private.
And this is actually, I don't know if there is a right way or not, but I think it's a very good way of transitioning, right? Because that's the way I did it too. And usually we feel more comfortable when we decide to take the big step and say, okay.
And you had asked me something. You had asked me something. I forgot already.
Yes, about, and I forgot it too.
Let's check our
Okay.
TP.
Okay.
Let's check
Yeah,
the TP.
the biggest changes. So
The biggest changes. Okay.
yeah, what was very different about teaching privately?
Okay. I think the biggest change was how I had to become my own boss when it comes to time management. Okay, because as I decided to go to my students' homes, I had to calculate time and if I would have to commute or not, if I'd go by bus. There was no Uber at the time, so I would either walk or take the bus. So I think managing your time and being your own boss, it ripples out. It ends up teaching you lots about finance, time management, professional development, because you have to be your own pedagogical coordinator. You have to be your own accountant. You have to be your own manager in so many ways. So I think the biggest change was feeling that I owned my time more than before.
And what you said is very, very important because I usually say this to people, try to get involved. I think we usually take it for granted that we will have many things to handle, like all at once. And it's important to get to know, to understand other areas as well, study about them, read books, and get...
Yes.
Because it's hard. How you are going to deal with finances if you have no idea about how to do that, even in your personal life. So it is a lot, but it's doable. If you
It is doable. It is
to...
doable. And I think what happens when you teach at schools is that the school, if it's a good one, it provides you with the training you need. It looks after your money. And so there is this illusion that you will be getting a 13º. Okay, people, should I?
Here we go.
We're 15 minutes in, and I'm going to drop the bomb. 13º and férias is money your school borrows
Takes
from you, takes from you along the year, and gives it back to you to make you feel happy at the end of the year. So don't fool yourselves, okay? You can do the same thing, dividing your income by shares, and then you can have your 13º, 14º, 15º, okay? It's only a matter of preparation and organization.
So much so
I
that
said it.
usually, okay.
Okay. Vodka, anyone?
Yeah.
It's not.
Actually, I was going to take some wine. I was going to grab a wine, but I thought it would be a nice idea.
We can have a drunk live. Why don't we have a drunk live next week? We should.
Oh, yeah. There's something interesting about it because probably both of us will be British because my English changes completely when I am drunk.
Okay, great. I don't mind. I speak Spanish when I drink.
Go figure.
So hey.
Yeah, but I lost track again. But
yeah, let's just have a look at what people are saying here.
I think Bia asked a question. Yeah, have you got a maid?
I do. I have got a maid. Yes, I have got a maid, and
talk about it.
The whole idea behind having a maid is that it allows you to do jobs you wouldn't normally do. Okay, so the reason why I decided to move on to maid was because I was getting job offers as a translator, as a voiceover artist, as a bilingual producer, because as well, just like you, hey, I have a history with drama and performing arts. So I would always keep my connections, and sometimes I would get some odd jobs as a bilingual producer, as a voiceover artist. So it was great to have May at the time because it really, really helps you get better jobs. Also, if you're teaching in companies, some companies will only hire you if you have May. So I highly recommend it.
I have lost opportunities because of that in the past. So.
Yes.
Well, because I learned.
Fernando Henrique is saying, destruidora de castelinhos. Well, yeah. I suppose that's my job. No, please. Okay. I'm going to add a question to our script. Is freelance teaching for everyone? That's a good one. It just came up.
Yeah.
So, maybe.
That's a tricky one, actually. Well, I don't know if I am a romantic person, but I tend to think that we can do everything. Of course, maybe it will take some time for some people, and some people will struggle. But I think that I would ask that back to you, like.
Okay.
Do you think that we have to be freelancers just because everybody is becoming one?
No.
This is the point. I think that sometimes many people do so just because everybody's doing it.
It's
and
not
then
for
in the
everybody.
end, we went up realizing that this is not what we want. You know, I see that this is time consuming. It's demanding, but I do love it. And I want to do it.
One of the things that make a huge difference when I say maybe freelance teacher is not for you is the matter of identification. Sometimes you relate a lot to the company you work for, okay? It's important for you to connect yourself to a brand, to connect yourself to a company, to feel part of something bigger. Though we do feel part of something bigger, because I love to say that the internet is the biggest teacher's room in the world. Yeah, but I understand for some people, if you have kids, for example, working at a school will give you a discount. Okay, if you're affiliated to Teachers Union, there is a series of advantages that you can get by teaching at a school. Bia said that if you teach at a school, it's very hard for you to have a May, because then you won't be able to get your pension, like your unemployment fund, if you get fired. That is also a point to consider. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's all about self-knowledge, right? Hey, I know you love this idea of self-knowledge. It's good for us to understand that there are options and that not all options are for everyone. Yeah. It's good to know what you like, how you work, if you have the means to transition this way, or if being part of a company, if being part of, vestir a camisa, some people find it very important, okay? So it's fine. I'm not saying quit your job, go freelance. I'm just offering here an option and telling people a little bit about my story, which started in 2010. Okay, so back there, it's so funny though, like when I was like 5 or 6 years into private teaching, the whole thing about creative entrepreneurship started, buzzing. And then I was getting lots of offers of courses on creative entrepreneurship. And then I think people saw me as a bit of a loser at that time, because when I started, era tudo mato. I really, really started from scratch.
I felt like that with online teaching.
And then probably you had to make your own way through this, this new path. And then I was getting those offers, and I said, look, I'm fine. I'm managing it, because at the time there was a lot of judgment from other people, and people would look at me and say, look at Carol, eccentric, she left schools. How come she left this and this school, which were quite nice schools here in Belo Horizonte. As Bia mentioned, health insurance too. Okay, maybe I should just move on. I'm just gonna, I don't know where we are anymore. But
I guess that when it comes to May, it's very good for those ones who are not working with schools, who are not.
No. The whole thing, when it comes to health insurance, Bia and everybody, health insurance, financial education, 13º, holidays, your pension fund, everything can be done being freelance. as long as you study about it and you're organized enough to make it happen for you. Because to be honest, you will just be doing what the school was doing for you. That's another feature of the business that maybe it's not for you. You just can be bothered. Like, just do my finance. I just like my school to do my finance, and that's okay. And that's fine. I think you have to be very curious and be very interested in learning new skills that have nothing to do with teaching once you become a freelance professional.
And also you have to be self-motivated, right? Because if you feel that you always need someone to tell you, oh, good job, you did it this way, or wait for instructions, you have to be flexible and proactive. Like, for example, maybe you may lose a student with this, which is something that can happen in schools too. It's something natural. But then if you are a self-employer, you are just going to do it by yourself. So probably on the following day, you will be starting making plans. You will do something about it. So it's not something that you have to wait for company.
Yeah, and well, at the beginning, I'm talking about 2010, boletos were a huge motivation. You know, I had my invoices, I had the receipts, I had everything coming in, and I had to pay my bills. So I think it always relates to your profile. If you know what you have to do, if you're diligent, I love this word, you're diligent, you see where you have to go and you go, okay? Some things will go wrong, you will lose some students. You would lose students at a school as well.
This is part of the process.
It is part of the process. And if you are teaching at a school, when we have this maybe this illusion of security, what happens is when you have many students, what are the odds of you losing 15 students in a semester? Okay, if a school decides they don't need you anymore, they're just gonna make you redundant. They're gonna fire you. Okay, so I think from all the reasons, stability shouldn't be one, because I've been more stable financially and professionally than before.
I was going to ask you that, because I always feel like that whenever someone tell me like, oh, I am I don't know, I don't feel that I would be stable if I am a self-employer. I say, well, but I felt better about this than before, you know.
Yes.
I don't feel these issues anymore. And I used to when I was at school.
Marcelo is saying that he needs some reassurance from from people around him. I think it's great to know that you need that. Okay? So
there's nothing wrong about it.
I get my reassurance from my students' feedback, because your student feedback happens at the moment of the class. You're teaching face-to-face. So if they like it, if you don't like it, you will get to know it straight away. And you have the chance to react to it in real time. Sometimes teaching at schools won't give you this chance, the chance of doing this. Okay, so I do get my reassurance from my students, from the community of teachers, from a certificate I take, from a course I take, from trainings I deliver or I attend. So I think there are other ways of getting this reassurance from the community.
Carol, some people here are asking about materials, syllables. That is something that we talked before, right? That
I told you. I told you. Renata asked me, so Carol, what do you think people will ask? And then I said, if they're going to ask one thing, it's about material. And, well, okay. So Raíssa and Thais, this is for you. What you have to do when you teach private is you have to know your student. So I've always believed in creating a syllabus together with the student. I do have a map of where I want to go. I do have my teaching style. I do have my teaching preferences, as well as the student has their their learning preferences. But I believe if you're going to teach private, you're going to teach more in a more personalized way, in a more customized way. So what you're going to do, well, what I have done, I'm not going to say you do this, okay? I'm going to talk about my experience. What I usually do is I create a syllabus together with my students. That's a flexible syllabus because the priorities might change, the schedule might change, the goals might change along the way. So it's very important for you to set a syllabus, but also be flexible. I like to call it a reactive syllabus. So your syllabus is going to adjust according to your students' needs. As for material, any material, the material like the internet, your brain, a rock, a pen, a leaf, a vodka cup, anything can be used as teaching material because the class doesn't live in the book. The class comes from the moment you meet your student meets you, and you decide on there's someone able to teach and there's someone willing to learn. I'm gonna make a t-shirt. So any material.
I guess you're gonna need a big one. That was a huge sentence, but very beautiful.
It's gonna be a whole tracksuit.
Yeah, probably.
With the same. But Thais and what's her name? Hi, Ali, you're there. Thais, Alison, and Raissa. I use lots of authentic material. Okay, get a pen, write that down. I use lots of authentic material, so I get things from the internet. I use genuine, like authentic books, films, series. Okay, I really like National Geographic books by Sengage. I've been working for them as an academic, as a teacher trainer, so I've been doing materials training and methodology training. So I really like their material, but anyone, any material really. Hey, Felipe. Hey, John. Hey, everybody. So any material. That's not about the material. It's about your teaching.
But if you are like very concerned about which material to choose, it's a good idea just to go to a place where you have some options and get in contact with them.
The publishing houses.
Read, check how you feel about them.
A moment of appreciation for bookstores like Gisal and SBS. Those people are amazing. Those people are amazing, okay? They can show you all about the publishing houses, all about the materials they sell, what's more appropriate for your profile as a teacher. What materials do you use, Hay?
Well, actually, I have some, and most of them depend on the purpose. So I usually do exactly what you said. I talk to the students, I check what their needs are, and then we together get a plan for that. With some students, I don't even use just one material.
Oh, no.
Sometimes I have more than one, and authentic material too.
I also
like to mix things, not just open the book and let's have the class focused on the book. Yeah, I'm really not worried about that. I really want to teach. Yeah,
yes,
so
exactly.
The material is a tool.
Yes, hey, I'm very happy you're saying that because this is exactly what I believe. I'm going to write the names of the stores here because somebody asked. Ana Maria Zanoni.
Para a Mulher already wrote them.
Thank you.
Okay, many people.
So, and I would also, Teaching Ideas Brazil, can you give us a hi? Teaching Ideas provides beautiful material, games, and she's my friend from Teachers for Teachers. Thais, say hi. So Thais makes beautiful games and material which are great for private classes. Oh, there she is. She has really good. She has some laminated material for face-to-face classes, one-to-one classes. You don't need like huge, I don't know, posters and things like that. So yeah, talk to Thais. She is one of my suppliers, material suppliers.
All right, I guess we covered everything about the first question.
Have we?
Yeah. Well, the only thing we haven't talked about is about routine and life balance, because this is also something important when it comes to private teaching. Yeah. So how it has changed for you?
So my last job at a school, apart from teaching, was as a coordinator. So I spent a lot of time sitting at my desk and seeing teachers, seeing parents, working on meetings. So one of the things that private teaching allowed me to do was walking around town So as the years went by, I managed to choose my students and choose the neighborhoods I teach. So I only work around a specific area of Belo Horizonte. So you just end up choosing your students, and you end up controlling your schedule a little bit more. So I think having time, having breaks, taking more breaks, walking around town, meeting people. I also managed to develop to go back to my other career, which is as a performing artist. So I went back to singing classes. I started to do some jobs as a voiceover artist, a bilingual voiceover artist. So I've done lots of locução and things like that, voiceovers. And so there's also this amazing side of it, which is you can do different things from your ability of speaking English. So I would host professionals from other countries. I would work as an interpreter, as a translator. I would sing in different languages. I would teach, I don't know, actors to perform in a different language. So this, as we say, this amazing possibility sort of presented, before my eyes when I went freelance. People are saying stuff. Let me see.
I think it's also important to set time for yourself, like as an appointment, because sometimes we tend to forget that. Yeah, just work, and this is not the idea.
No. Yes.
Usually we become private teachers because we want to have freedom and not only do what we want. Yeah, of course we have to work too, and we love work. So okay, but this is not just about it. So
it's not.
It's just have time for yourself.
Because
have hobbies, watch a movie.
Have hobbies.
Do
I just ended up realizing, hey, a couple of years ago, I didn't have a hobby because everything I did, I saw the potential of making money. Not that I did make money, but I was like, okay, so now I'm going to start a project here and I'm going to make money here. And I was like, just exhausted. 2013, I was 3 years into private teaching. 2013, I was a mess. I was super stressed out because I couldn't really see the limits, like the boundaries between personal life and professional life. Everything became one. So I highly advise you, if you want to go freelance, give it what you've got, but make sure you save yourself some time. Julia is asking that somebody, okay. Julia is asking if I fire students, if that is true. Yes, I fire students because eu não sou obrigada. What I'm saying nobody is. I think, Ju, and everybody who's watching, there is a match. There has to be a match, You have to connect with your students. And I've had some students who wouldn't comply to the rules. We're talking about contracts. We cannot forget this. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't accept the rules, or we would clash because of beliefs, because they would think either the classes were too demanding or too loose or too whatever, because people come from different backgrounds. So I think firing students is a bit intense, but yes, sometimes I talk to my students into not having classes with me anymore. And I appointed another professional.
But sometimes no, I think that always actually. There is a third person that appears when you are teaching. Like, I am the teacher, there is a student, and then there will be a third person. And sometimes we don't like this third person. And what do you do about someone that you simply don't like,
Yes. Some students, they trigger complicated things,
And when I say don't like, it's not that you don't like the student. Yes,
no,
of course. But it may happen. It's the match. It may happen.
It is the match.
But it is about the match, about the connection that you are going to create. It is about everything when you are teaching is about connection. So
it is about
if you
connection.
Don't have it, how you do
it is about connection. Yes, and I think being freelance, going freelance makes you more honest. Because the contact, that you have with your students is much more like closely knit. You don't have a company behind you. You don't have coordinators, you know, doing this sort of mediating this process. So if the class doesn't work, the class doesn't work. Okay? So I do have a contract. I do have about 4 or 5, let's say, deals. Okay? The only student who didn't agree with my deals was a lawyer. And yeah, she was really picky. And then she said, no, I want to be able to cancel classes at any time. And I was like, so I'll have to double the price of the class. Because there must be rules. You know, Marcelos has just said it. He's in that moment where he's mixing everything. So there must be a separation. You know, there must be limits. There must be boundaries. Because we are professionals. We're not schools, but we are professionals. And we have to look and act accordingly.
Yeah. And that is why I always talk about self-knowledge. Because again, I will get back to it, because I think that if you start teaching by yourself, you start raising awareness about who you are, about what you want, about what students are the students for you, because you cannot be friends with everybody, right? So teaching is the same thing.
No. And can I say something? When I left schools, I was really paranoid, okay, about my performance. And then, because one of the last schools where I taught was a school for kids, I got lots of kids. My new students, they were kids. Some of them saw me leaving the school, came after me, or somebody appointed me from the same school. My first student was from Colégio Doroteia, Santa Doroteia, here in Belo Horizonte. And then I got another 10 students from the same school. So word of mouth, okay, is a miracle.
The best marketing.
Is the best marketing ever. I never, ever had to advertise a class. Okay, so what happened was that I got super paranoid when I started seeing students at their homes, because I thought the mothers were checking on my class. The maids were coming to see if everything was okay. I'm not sure if in 2010, this private service was that common here in Belo Horizonte. You know, we were all finding our ways into this new relationship. So sometimes I would just get completely self-conscious about my teaching, because there was nobody there, but at the same time the family would sort of, I don't know, they wouldn't check on my classes, but if they passed by, I would just go like, oh, they're checking on my class. And then, of course, I started doing therapy and all sorts of activities that would help me relax a bit. I got a new hobby and I tried not to make money out of it. I went to therapy and it also helped me a lot, because I was getting paranoid, because we are used to someone looking after you, to someone controlling your classes, to someone, I don't know, checking on your performance all the time. So, yes, and we have to be that person, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see the next one. Yeah, so now we're going to start talking about the other transition that we've done, which is, it was very recent actually, right? It was three weeks ago, right? So,
yes.
It's about online teaching, yes. So how different do you find preparing and delivering online lessons than face-to-face?
So, like many other students during this crisis, I had zero idea about teaching online. I would see Renata, I would see you, and I go like, oh my God, she knows everything about online teaching. Oh, she's such an inspiration. And you and Tamiris and everybody who teaches online. And I was like, I would never be like those people. They know so much. But then I was like,
oh my, Carol.
Okay, I have my bullets to pay. I'm training. I have to have something to say about it. I work with teacher education, you know. I've taken huge steps into my independence, so I think I'm going to embrace it. So the first week of lockdown, I texted my students and then I said, look, no classes for a week. I have to work this thing out. So I took courses, I watched I checked your tips and Tamig's tips, and then I was educating myself. Can anyone print screen? Can we have a heart? Can anyone print screen? Screenshot, isn't it? That's what we say in English.
Yeah.
Screenshot. I hope somebody does it. Okay. So
Fingers crossed.
okay. Serious professionals. What I did was I went after information, just like everybody else. And then, I told my students I was going to be out for a week. And then I gave them the option. And I was like, what if they don't accept it? Because I thought about it, right? And fortunately, they were the most amazing partners I could ever have. I can never thank them enough because they really jumped in. And the first week I decided to teach, I told them it was going to be like a test week. We were going to be trying new things. I had no idea about what I was going to do. So I got the online version of the materials I was using. And I adjusted the class. So I wasn't just teaching a class in front of a screen. I was trying to adjust the levels of interaction, the type of material. I added some new deals to my mini contract, such as you have to be present after 15 minutes. I won't be waiting for you. Mm-hmm. The cancellation policy was still valid. So if you cancel the class with less than 24-hour notice, you lose the class. It's been paid for, you lose it. And so we were adjusting the deals and the dynamic of the class, and I was checking on new materials. To be honest, it's done wonders for my teaching. Not that I'm mastering online teaching and I think it's a success. It's really tiring. I feel very frustrated, but especially because I've been teaching for almost, I don't know, 2 decades. We get too comfortable sometimes with the way we teach. So I thought it was a great wake-up call for me. And it was a great way of reflecting upon my teaching, upon my choices, my relationship with my students. So I think it's brought fresh air to my teaching. Not that I'm rocking it, but I think it would be worse, I have to say.
Okay. Yeah, I think there are different perspectives from it. Yeah, there are some people who really didn't like it, that are still adapting. Yeah, they are all process. And there are other people that, like you, got the best from it. But I think there are some things that are very different when we teach online, right?
Yes.
Like for example, feedback. It has to be more constant. And also the way how you are going to prepare your lessons is also different.
I can see.
As you said, it's not just adapting, right?
No, it's not.
Much more than that.
It's much more than that. We've been talking about it, about how it shouldn't be transferring but transcending. Yeah, and one thing, the hippie teachers, but yes. But what I'm trying to say here is that I'm speaking from a place of huge privilege. Okay, I understand lots of teachers from schools are finding it impossible to keep up with all the demands. I think this crisis is bringing to the surface many problems in school management, in teacher education, in the relationship between schools, families, and teachers. So I'm just adding this to the conversation, okay?
And this is very good indeed, because actually it's good for the ones who I don't know, that they are struggling with that, to see that it's possible also to find some options and think about that, and listen from different perspectives and experiences.
We have to be very humble, and for teachers, sometimes it's very difficult for teachers to admit we don't know something. because we are paid to have the answers,
For
isn't
everybody,
it?
actually.
Yeah. And teachers, we have this place where we have to know things, okay? It's part of the psyche of the teacher, having the answers, okay? So not knowing at this moment is an amazing exercise of being humble and hoping for the best and being ready for the worst. So one of the things that, going back to our script, because we're not gonna lose track.
We are
So I was
question 2.
okay. So I had to adjust material, but also the patterns of interaction. I wouldn't just stand in front of a screen and ask my student to open their books at the other side of the screen and say, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes, I'll be back after 5 minutes, and then we check. So I decided to use more interactive material. Sometimes I would resort to the flipped classroom. I would send them the material in advance. It's funny though, because I tried to do it before and it hasn't worked, but now it does.
But now they have more time in theory, right? Not exactly, but...
I'm sorry, say it again.
Now they have more time.
Yeah, apparently they are willing to find stuff to do. But also because there is something about this sort of distance emergency learning, okay? Let's just keep in mind, we're not talking about EAD, we're not talking about online teaching per se, because what we're doing is we are adjusting. I had imagined myself teaching online through a smooth transition as I did 10 years ago. And then I just had to do it overnight, okay? So let's just keep our eyes peeled for that. Felipe is saying that I use the word exercise and not opportunity. Yes, we've been talking a lot about it. For you, hey, you've been teaching online since forever, okay? I've just arrived, okay? So I don't really think I'm rocking it. I don't really think it's an opportunity when it comes to making money and discovering, new ways. I think it's an exercise. I don't know if I'm going to continue once the quarantine is done. Okay.
It's a different experience, right?
It is a different experience, but if anything, we are doing lots of self-reflection. Do I like it? Do I miss my students? Do I miss the contact? Can I make my classes effective without being there with the student? Okay. On the other hand, I realized I had to improve some of my techniques. I'm a very intuitive teacher, so I had to improve my lesson planning. I had to focus more on instruction giving. I had to call the students for actions in a different way, because you don't have the feeling of the moment. You don't have the more subtle elements of a face-to-face class. So there has to be concept checking all the time, instructions checking all the time, okay?
Broken instructions, not just like huge ones, but they are going to listen. Okay, so listen. They are going to do the exercise, to match the exercise. Okay, so match the exercise now. If you start, I usually say that if you start saying you were going to a lot, it means that probably your instruction is not appropriate for an online teaching environment.
As I told you earlier today, hey, I decided to add something to my class. At the end of the class, when I wrap up, I ask my students, what have you learned today? And then I realized I should be doing that before. Because it's a way of keeping track, because sometimes internet is cut, the connection is cut, the students don't get you. If they are not very auditory learners, they might get a bit confused with the whole, screen, phone, microphone dynamic. So it has made me try new techniques, try new dynamics with my students. I talk a lot, as you can see, as you already know. So I had to adjust my teacher talking time.
I'm sorry about Leka. She's excited about something.
Oh my God.
She's barking.
Marisol
asked if we can recommend any tests or articles or authors about online teaching. Well, there is a book that it's very good about online teaching. That the name is teaching online teaching actually, online teaching. It's from Celta Publishing. I don't remember the authors, but I can type it here later when I post the video.
Okay, so Renata can recommend. I cannot recommend anything on online teaching because I'm a newbie. I'm a fresher. I just know how to use Hangouts and Zoom, and that's it. But I know how to teach a good class. And this is something I have to tell you, teachers.
This is what it's about.
It's not about the platform.
Online teaching is still teaching, and this book says that many times.
Yes, it is still teaching. So you still need your human skills, okay? Rapport.
More than before,
probably more than before, because everybody at this very moment is stressed out, is going through difficult patches. So I really think it's about finding new ways of connecting with your students. And as you said, Renata, in your live with Tamires, take breaks between classes, move around the house, give your students the chance to give you constant feedback also on the transition, not only on the class as content, but also on the whole process, what they feel like about it, or how, they're managing it.
One thing that I started after I started teaching online was having a monthly feedback. So I asked them a monthly feedback to check about my classes, if everything is okay, if they have anything to add. And I also send them monthly feedback as well. Because I started feeling that we need more feedback when we are online. And
interesting.
Maybe it's exactly because we don't have this face-to-face connection, and then we feel that we are a little bit more unsure about what we are doing, if we are learning, and then it's something that helps. So I think it helps.
It does. Well, the things we used to do face to face have to be done. We have to keep doing it.
And I think that probably face-to-face classes will be more interesting in some ways when we get back, because there are many things that we are learning from online teaching.
Yes, and this January I took Celta. And I took Celta after 20 years of working in the field. So it was very interesting because I could adjust some of the procedures to my online classes. I was a bit isolated. So it was great to have insight from more experienced teachers, less experienced teachers, new students. So thank God Celta happened before lockdown.
You were ready for that, Alicia.
I was.
Thais is saying here, Celta yay.
Because she was my Celta classmate.
Yeah, she was with you, right?
Yes, she did it with me.
And another good thing that it's interesting for online teaching is the VLE, which is the virtual learning environment. So it's like the place where you go with your students after the class, maybe to talk about something. So you can have Google Classroom or whatever, but it's good to have one place where they know they will find you, so they can feel safer and more welcomed.
So yeah, I decided to have like a backup plan through WhatsApp with my students in case connection is broken, in case something happens. So we keep our phones close to us. So if anything happens, we can always chat through WhatsApp, and they know they can find me. They know when and where they can find me. So I think it's a matter of connection, and I'm not talking about internet connection here. I'm talking about human connection.
Yes.
Luchito is asking,
okay, go on.
How do you manage your time to study? I do it when I can. Usually January and July, I try to take courses because usually we don't teach that much, or weekends, okay? Or I try to take breaks, but during the week I find it very hard to study, to be honest. I'm very much worried with preparing classes and connecting with my students. So I would do it at weekends or July and January.
Yeah, as I am preparing for CPE,
Uh-huh.
I have been trying to study like almost every day, but I'm a human being, you know.
I know.
Like,
Hey.
it's not that easy, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's good to try, but it's also important to understand that there should be a balance, and if you're not able to do so, just don't do it, or do it on weekends, or understand what works for you.
Okay.
You know,
I
respect
think
your-
yes, I think each person has a different answer for that.
Yes.
Marcellus is asking if I would recommend going abroad for Celta or taking a master's degree. I did Celta, I did the intensive, the full course Celta, so you don't have time for anything else. So if you want to go abroad just for going abroad, don't go abroad to do Celta, because you won't have time to see the places, to sightsee and to go around. So just do Celta in Belo Horizonte, because you won't have time, you know, for anything else. A master's degree is something completely different. The focus is more academic. So one thing has nothing to do with the other. Celta is a course with a certificate at the end, and it trains you into teaching or refreshes your teaching, okay? A master's degree is something else. Well, DM me, send me messages if you have any more questions.
Someone asked here, I've been trying to find the question here, but I can't. About what to do when you have a very shy student. I found it. Carol Valente. What do you do when your student is too shy? She understands all grammar and everything, but she's so shy that she can answer a simple question.
I make a fool of myself and help the student get more comfortable. I don't know if there's a magic trick for that. Build confidence in the student, tell them this is a safe space for making mistakes, and try to understand how they deal with mistakes. We do lots of therapy with our students, don't we?
Yes. I think it's also a good idea to reflect about your own views about mistakes, because I realized that when I was very demanding and strict about my students was exactly the time that I wasn't very permissive about my own mistakes. I was very, you know, all the time blaming myself for making a mistake.
Yeah,
And
because
then
you have to understand it's not about you, it's about the student.
Yeah,
the class is a service. You're there to serve.
But usually when we see it that way, we try to do the same thing with the student, right? So it's good to be, I don't know, to let the student make mistake, understand that this is a safe environment.
Yeah.
There are some techniques, but I think that maybe when the student is very shy, it's also a good idea for the student to work on that too, because sometimes it's not about English. No. And we don't have to change the students, you know?
We don't. We have to adjust to them. It's all about the student. It's not about the teacher. Then it's your ego. And your ego is not your ego.
Yes.
Tati is asking if I think I'm working more now. I think I am. I have to spend more time preparing classes. So yeah, basically that's the reality.
Carol, we have 1 minute.
Oh no! Okay, so let's wrap up. Feel free to send me messages if you need anything.
Same here. Okay, so Carol, what would you say about this experience and everything that you were learning from it? What can you, I don't know.
Know thyself. Know thyself. Know what you want to do with your life. You only have one life to live, okay? Of course, it's not for everybody, but I think we can always improve. We can always be loyal to our choices and to the things we believe. So be true to your hearts. We are super important. Way to go, teachers. I love this community.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. Carol, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
so much for your generosity. And
thanks for having me. I'm a big fan. You're doing a great job. Hey, congratulations.
So am I. Don't even have to say it, please. Bye-bye.